Launching in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the 60th Annual Nebula Awards, sponsored by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association. Launching in 10, 9. Launching in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the 60th Annual Nebula Awards, sponsored by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association.
We honor, celebrate, support, and recognize the original inhabitants of Kansas City. We would like to acknowledge that our theater sits on the traditional, ancestral, and current home of Native Americans, Indigenous, and First Nations people. We ask you to join us in acknowledging the many tribal groups from our area, including the Osage, Kaw, Missouri, Shawnee, and Wyandot tribes. We honor the elders, both past and present, and this calls us to commit to continuing to learn their stories, as well as how to be better stewards of the land that we occupy.
Launching in 10.
Please welcome to the stage Erin Roberts. Erin is a writer of stories and games whose work includes the 2023 Nebula Award finalist, Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. She is one of the hosts of the award-winning Writing Excuses podcast and is tonight's Toastmaster.
I'm so tall now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 60th Annual Nebula Awards. Come on, give it up. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you all to celebrate some of the best and brightest in science fiction and fantasy writing today. And thanks to the magic of streaming, and as we know from our countdown, this party is taking place across time and space. So whether you're enjoying this with a hearty breakfast, trying to stay up until the final late middle of the night award is given out, or sitting here in this ballroom somewhere in between, thanks for being here and for being part of it. Now, before we get started in earnest, I have a confession to make. I originally thought about opening the show tonight with an entire song and dance number, like you might see at the Oscars or the Tonys, and I used to write some decent parody songs in college, and I figured I would name drop all the nominees, pull off some great rhymes, and maybe even highlight the melody of a song from the era when the Nebulas began. Cabaret, I thought, a song about joining in the fun of life, from a musical about the role of art in a world sliding into fascism. Or, for a closing number, Harry Belafonte's cover of the Jamaican folk song Deo, which brought him enormous popularity as an artist and generated a ton of money that he used to help fund the fight for civil rights. And I was like, dang, that sounds great. But then I actually tried singing one of my inventions to a friend of mine, just like it would happen up here with no accompaniment, just me and the microphone. And I quickly decided to save it for the after party. You're welcome. But all of those songs stuck with me, in part because they're important and relevant and in conversation with the times around them in their own different ways, but also because they're honestly just really fun to sing. Like, honestly, try it later, not right now. They're catchy and they're full of joy. And there are times, like then and like now, when honestly, we need that. I mean, spoiler alert, I was not there when the Nebula Awards were first envisioned 60 years ago by the late Lloyd Biggle Jr. I'm not a secret time traveler, but I have to believe that part of it was about that kind of joy. The excitement in being able to acknowledge your peers for the way they create new worlds and explore our own. The pomp and circumstance in a night like this, where we get dressed up and gather to celebrate the importance of writing, not just for the benefit of all the people who enjoy this incredible work, but for all of us who put a bit of our joy and heart and soul into it. That feeling, that joy, it doesn't always have to be in big rooms or in shared celebrations. It's great when it is, but mostly it isn't. It's a moment when a character triumphs on the page, when a battle is won on the screen, when it's 4 a.m. and you finally turn the last page or see the credits roll or write the very last word of final 2, final, really this time I'm done, version 3. Writing can be such an expression of joy, and I hope we experience so much of it tonight, whether I sing about it or not. But when it comes to writing, just as it does with those songs, just like it does with so much of the work we're celebrating here tonight, joy is just the beginning. 60 years ago, when the Nebula Awards began, it was 1965, a historically calm year, much like this one. Independences were being gained, occupations endured, rights were being fought and bled for, wars began, resistance movements grew, and a World's Fair ended. It was a year when Dune, the winner of the very first Nebula for Best Novel, and the creation of tonight's Infinity Award honoree Frank Herbert, was first published. But so was the autobiography of Malcolm X, 9 months after his assassination. 1965 was the year when Gabriel Garcia Marquez began writing Cien Años de Soledad, and Samuel Delany wrapped his Fall of the Towers trilogy. All works written at a time of rebellion and revolution and change that I would argue seeped into their very pages. Because writing can be an expression of joy and also an act of resistance. It can have the passion of first love or the passion of a very last stand, or depending on the work, a little bit of both. But whether it's getting us to laugh together, cry together, or stand 10 toes down together, it's always of the moment, for the moment, in whatever that moment may be. And today, we're in another moment. And luckily, we're here together. It's sometimes said that writing is a solitary act, but I've never found that to truly be the case, even when it sometimes feels that way. It's possible that I'm just lucky or looking for the best in everything. But before this ceremony began tonight, I saw so many expressions of community and solidarity. People sharing ideas and hugs, photos posted of people's fits and faves, wishes of good luck passed across a room or over so many, many miles. And that makes sense, because writing is joy and resistance and also an act of communion. And here's where I make a second confession, one that I was even more tempted to keep to myself. I don't write as much as I think I should. Sometimes the moment feels bigger than my words. Sometimes my life is lifing against me. Sometimes it's all I can do, all any of us can do, to read and play and enjoy the bright sparks of creativity like the ones we're honoring here tonight. Sometimes we're changing the world with our words. Sometimes we're bringing a smile to someone's face. And sometimes we're just trying to make it through the day, one moment after another. Sometimes writing is waiting to write, or celebrating the writing of others, or listening to the stories that beg to be told, or finding the stories that you need to tell and waiting for the time you can tell them. Maybe I'm just telling myself this, but in case you need to hear it too, writing is joy and resistance and communion, and sometimes it's taking a nap when you need it, because without rest, how can we dream? Between us, that's what we do best. We of the science fiction and fantasy community who imagine new futures and different realities, who see magic in shadows and through unexpected doorways, who confront what happens when the things you've been taught are true turn out to be impossible, and the things you think are fairy tales are merely some shade of improbable. Now, that doesn't mean we always get it right. 60 years is a long time. Did the folks who sat at the first nebulas thinking of the future imagine the technology we'd have, the stories we'd tell, the fact that I am the one up here hosting? Maybe not. Oh, thank you. But that doesn't mean we stop. Whether we're putting our dreams to paper or writing our way out of a nightmare. Writing is joy and resistance and communion and a dream after rest and a claiming of our truth and a shout and a spark and a whisper. Writing is what we love most of the time. Maybe not when it's waking us up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night, wondering about the comma in paragraph 3, or the fate of our mushy middle, or if we found the right synonym for grief. We don't have to love it all the time. We don't have to love it all the same way. Writing can be joy and resistance and communion and a dream and a comfort and a word I'd never think of, but you know, deep down in your soul. It can be what unites us. It can be what reminds us of the importance of all of our differences. It can make us laugh or cry or rage against the dying of the light. And tonight, we get the chance to sample some of the best of it. Different forms, different formats, different themes, different experiences, just as soon as I stop and we start the show. It's all the way down here. Last year, Sarah Gailey reminded us that this is a Toastmaster speech, and so there should probably be a toast. I'm gonna go grab this glass of wine from down here, y'all. Look, I'm not toasting with nothing. Okay, so I love Sarah Gailey's toast from last year, fuck fascism, so that, again, fuck fascism. But I also wanna add a little something of my own. To the finalists, congratulations. To everyone who's a part of this, thank you. And finally, from the bottom of my heart, to writing, because it's ours and what we make it. Cheers. Cheers. And now please join me in welcoming SFWA President Kate Ristaw.
Good evening. I'm so happy to see all of you here tonight, both online and in the room. We've got so much to look forward to tonight. But I was first elected as an interim president, so I'm not going to act like the weight of history and all those presidents who came before me is not sitting here with me on this stage. SFWA has made some mistakes. We've made a lot. I mean, we missed choosing Octavia freaking Butler as a Grandmaster in her lifetime. And, well, how many of you have heard the story that County Willis was saying about throwing chairs? The history of SFWA is a story of galaxies and good intentions, a mix of starlight and pain. And we can't start our biggest night of celebration without acknowledging where we came from and where we're going. I personally started volunteering with SFWA in 2020, good year.
It was a wildly uncertain time. It was scary. And in the middle of COVID's great pause, I met amazing leaders and great friends. People like Steven Silver helped me find my feet. Kate Baker showed me the ropes at the Nebula Awards. Beth Dawkins supported 1 billion volunteers with grace and understanding. Kathleen Monin juggled projects with confidence and skill, and Tara LeMay was always there to answer every single one of my questions. When I stepped in as president, all those leaders had stepped away. To be blunt, it sucked. It did. The first person I met with was past President Anthony Eichenlaub. With kindness and unwavering support, he worked with me to start rebuilding the organization with an eye for institutional stability and compassionate care. He remains one of my favorite people, and I'm happy you all will get to meet him here on stage tonight. With Anthony's help and the leadership of the board and the interim executive director, Russell Davis, this past fall, we started having conversations, meeting with volunteers, asking questions, and listening. And we learned a lot. And we took what we learned and we brought it straight into the boardroom. We focused on reorganizing, reconsidering, and most importantly, strategizing. And that work, it's continued this weekend in our strategic planning sessions, where we are paying attention to our past mistakes, and looking toward a different future. Y'all, it's exciting. It's good, it's exciting. Because over the next few months, we will start sharing our strategic plan with you. Goals, actions, objectives. I know that's not what you're here for right now, but oh my gosh, it's so dorky and amazing. Really, I'm here for it. SFWA's future is now rooted in focused support for writers and a passionate desire to make the industry stronger, better, more human, more caring. In the face of AI and political upheaval, we need that story. The one about hope, resistance, compassion, and kicking ass. So let's go with that perspective in mind. Because that's the perfect way to introduce a few of our grandmasters. Grandmasters like Le Guin, Bradbury, Norton, Hopkinson, Clark, Delaney, Haldeman, and Cooper. Since 1975, we have been honoring these masters of the craft, looking toward their legacy as we blaze a trail into the future. So in February of 2025, when I got the opportunity to choose Grandmaster, I turned to our past presidents for guidance. You will meet some of those presidents here tonight. And the list of names they suggested for Grandmaster are shining stars in the firmament of speculative fiction. We would be lucky to honor them all. But one name shone brighter for me. You see, I had met her on a panel at the Pacific Northwest Booksellers Association. I had read her work for years and followed her hashtag #CryptLit. I knew her as a rebel and a fighter and a disability advocate who, for years, stood up for what she believed in and stood strong.
Kate?
Kat?
Yes, it's me.
Everyone, Kat Rambo, past president.
I was just wondering if there's any way I could help. This is a Nebula. It's a huge night, and it seems to be you've been putting up with a certain amount of...
You know our Grandmaster really well.
I would be delighted to. I first came to Nicola Griffith's work with Ammonite, and since then I have read her books with both pleasure and awe. She is our 41st Damon Knight Memorial Grandmaster. She is a novelist, an essayist, and a teacher. She has won 6 Lambda Literary Awards, a Nebula Award, an Otherwise Award, a World Fantasy Award, and the Los Angeles Times Book Prize. She is a master of the genre with a PhD and an incredible heart for social justice. She challenges us and encourages us to rethink our assumptions and to reconsider our perspectives. And all the time she does it, she tells a hell of a story. Please welcome to the stage my friend and our newest SFWA Grandmaster, Nicola Griffith.
don't know what to look at first. This is, hello, and thank you. Ever since Kate first called, I've been feeling this great, brimming sense of joy. You're my people. Being part of this community, part of SF, is where I feel as though I really belong. So this honor, honestly, it's overwhelming. Thank you. My very first SFWA event was in 1992 at the Nebulas in Atlanta. Kelly and I didn't know anybody, but we were welcomed with open arms and dragged around from group to group and introduced to everyone. And I was amazed by the generosity. And that's when I knew I wanted to belong here, because SF is a culture of generosity. I'm guessing everyone in this room has helped and been helped by someone else here. No one does this alone. I certainly owe a lot to many people, and they deserve thanks. And instead of taking these few minutes now to thank them, I've written a blog post. It's either live or it will be soon. So please do go read it, because I really want those people to know how grateful I am. And I hope they will forgive me for not thanking them here from the stage, because tonight, while I have your attention, I'm sure you'll be shocked to hear I have a few things to say. What I want to talk about is world building and what it really means. Most of us here are writers, but we're all readers. I won't speak for you, but I turn to books for pleasure, whether we're talking knowledge or solace and reassurance or vindication. As a kid, it was from books that I found out that there are other people out there who think trees are for climbing and axes for throwing, and who look at other girls and want to kiss them. Books, story, is where we turn to discover how it is to be human in all our shapes and circumstances. Story is where we turn for answers. There are a lot of people out there right now who are looking for answers. I keep hearing the same lament. The world is terrible. I don't understand what's happening. I don't know what to do. What can I do? This is just how the world is now. SF writers talk a lot about world building, imagining and figuring out different societies, ecologies, and economies. But what writers do is so much more important, more powerful than that. We create story, and culture is built on story. Culture is the shared story of who we are. The phrase cultural producer isn't a fanciful one. It's what we do. We create culture. We create worlds, including this one. It's very easy to feel helpless if we think in terms of this is just how the world is. But the world is what we've made it, which means we can unmake it, we can remake it, we can make something better. We can imagine that better world and then build a working version to show it's possible. To do that, we have to be brave. Brave enough to leave the safety of the herd, the comfort of doing things the way they've always been done, and believing what we've always believed. And then we have to help the reader be brave. Brave enough to let themselves imagine. Brave enough to hope and dream, to find joy. I think it can be really hard to imagine joy when we've been told misery and suffering is just the way of the world. But we, our stories, we have the power to change that. I've written, or am writing, fiction set in the past, the present, and the future in worlds that maybe never were, but perhaps could be. These are worlds where othered lives, queer lives, black lives, disabled or trans or working class lives they're just lives lived by people with the same chance of joy as anyone else. That's the key, that people find joy or terror or excitement because of what they do or don't do, because of the decisions they make, how they behave, not because of who they are or who we've been taught to think they are. If we do that, then readers can feel safe to let down their barriers, safe to risk imagining and living a life different to their own, perhaps one they've been taught is wrong or hard or dangerous. Safe to dream another's dreams, learn an other's lessons, and feel an other's joy. Safe, while they're immersed in story, to become someone else. Because if we do that, we can change how the reader thinks and feels about people who aren't like them, just for a little while. And sometimes a little while is all it takes. We can change the world, one reader at a time. That's what I mean by world building. It means to be brave, to see clearly, to not turn away, to name our reality, yes, and to see past it, around it, or just go straight through it to what else might be out there that we've been trained not to see. There's a reason many people sneer at escapism. Dreaming is dangerous to the world order. As Tolkien said, probably more than once, those who tend to worry most about escape are the jailers. So what kind of culture do you want to live in? What story are you going to tell? Go tell that story. I personally would love to see the world remade in the image of this community, of SF, a culture of warmth and generosity, a world where we all belong. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again to this year's Grandmaster, Nicola Griffith. Thank you for those beautiful, inspiring, amazing, important words. If there is one thing that those words and the work of our brilliant Grandmaster reminds us, it's that writing contains multitudes. Multitudes of form and format, of technique and approach, of genre and style, of voice and identity. 60 years ago, when the Nebulas began, there were only 4 categories: novel, novella, novelette, and short story. 4 categories that we still write, we still read, we still love, and we will still honor here tonight. But if writing is anything, it is always changing. How we write changes. What we write changes. The world we're in changes, and our stories change with it. And I am reminded by Nicola Griffith's words that our stories change it as well. We add a few more multitudes. Next year, the Nebula Awards themselves will change. Nebulas will be given out for poetry and for comics and graphic novels. Yes! Snaps for the poets as well, thank you. These will join the categories of game writing, young adult and middle grade writing, and dramatic presentation as additions to the awards since those earliest days. And they will mark next year the first time that there are more categories that have been added since the first Nebula Awards than there were at the first Nebula Awards. Yeah, that's right. We can clap for that. A remarkable reflection of change, not in the fact that they exist. I mean, poetry and graphic storytelling are forms that have been around for centuries, but the fact that they're going to be here as part of these awards, sharing this stage. Because sometimes the thing that changes the most is not the story itself, but our understanding of what it means to tell it. Our understanding of what it means for something to be a story. And each time we do that, we make our worlds bigger. We add to our toolboxes. We find new ways to touch hearts and minds. We find new ways to change the world. Our creativity grows by multitudes. Writing is always changing. It is always changing us. It changes the way we understand the world. It changes the way we fight for it. It changes what we can imagine it becoming. It changes the way we share our dreams and our stories in the pages of a novel or a novelette or a novella or a short story, in the cadence of an epic tale, or in a scene larger than life that plays out on the screen in front of us. And now, for the Ray Bradbury Nebula Award for Outstanding Dramatic Presentation. This award will be introduced by the award-winning author of the Murderbot Diaries and the upcoming novel Demon Queen, Martha Wells.
Hi, I'm Martha Wells, and I'm here to introduce the Ray Bradbury Nebula Award for Outstanding Dramatic Presentation. This award is given every year to dramatic works of fantasy and science fiction in honor of celebrated author Ray Bradbury, who also wrote plays, TV scripts, and movie treatments, including the screenplay for John Huston's film version of Moby Dick. As with our nominees today, a script might be an original story written specifically for the screen, or a new entry into the vast, beloved, and complex world of a long-running franchise, or a work adapted from an epic novel, or from a novel that was adapted into a Broadway musical and that was then adapted into a movie. Script writing is a skill with its own set of unique challenges, just as it is for novels, short fiction, comics, or games. In screenwriting, film is the muse of fire that turns words on paper into a blueprint for building a visual universe. For radio, those scripts create a limitless world bordered only by the listener's imagination. Scripts are interpreted by directors and actors, costumers, visual effects experts, set, production, and sound designers into a collective work of art. But it's the writing that is the scaffold for all that creativity, the spark that lights the fire. The nominees for the Ray Bradbury Award for Outstanding Dramatic Presentation are
Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble by Russell T. Davies. Dune, Part 2 by John Spates and Denis Villeneuve. I Saw the TV Glow by Jane Schonbrun. Chaos by Charlie Covell and Georgia Christou. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5 by Mike McMahon. Wicked by Winnie Holzman and Dana Fox.
And the Ray Bradbury Nebula Award for Outstanding Dramatic Presentation goes to Dune Part 2.
SFWA accepts this award on behalf of the writers of Dune 2. As Paul Atreides says, it's not a prophecy, it's a story. One that you keep telling over and over, but it's not their story, it's yours. For those of you online and in person tonight, ask yourself what story you want to tell and how you want to be remembered. Face your fear. Thank you.
Congratulations to the entire team from Dune 2. Woo! Now, one thing I love about both dramatic presentation and our next category, game writing, is that they both highlight just how collaborative writing can be. Think of all the talented people who help turn a script into that collaborative work of art, or provide the code, or the visuals, or the sound that builds the world in which game writing can shine. It is no surprise to me that of all the categories at the Nebulas, these are the two by far where you're the most likely to find a team working side by side to bring a creative idea to life. But all writing, in truth, is a bit of a collaboration. Even beyond the obvious agents and editors and publishers and marketing teams who we love you, and who work together to connect writers and the audiences for their work. I'm thinking more of collaboration of a different kind. And here I'm gonna ask those of you in the room to raise your hands if you're in any of these categories. We've got the beta readers, the alpha readers, the critique partners, the friend who doesn't really read your kind of work but is so excited anyway. We've also got our time reclaimers, vibe defenders, group chat smack talkers, you know who you are, shoulders to cry on, friends who say yes when you need it, friends who say no when you need it, and anyone who has ever said, wait, have you had a glass of water today? Because you know, drinking water is important. That's right, wave at me. And that is a lot of hands, I see. Even though I made half those categories up. Give yourselves a round of applause. Sometimes collaboration is direct creative partnership. It's a pair of writers writing a novella by passing letters back and forth. It's a translator interpreting a work into a new language. It's writers who are working in a shared world that they write about separately but make real together. But sometimes it's the communities around us. It's the words of encouragement. It's the shows of support. It is showing up. I think sometimes about Henry David Thoreau, don't we all? And the fact that he supposedly wrote his treatise on self-reliant living while getting lunches made by his mother. Now, I don't know if that's true, historians don't at me, but I will say this, blessed are the snack makers. That's right. Blessed are the snack makers and all those whose labor, acknowledged or not, helps to make our creative lives possible. And with that, let's honor the writers whose creative work puts us in the driver's seat and gives us the opportunity to be part of a collaboration between their vision and our gameplay. I will say I am honored to be doing double duty for a moment and not just Toastmastering, is that the verb, but also presenting the Nebula Award for game writing. To the writers who draw us into their worlds and their stories from the moment we press start or sit down at a collective table. These brilliant writers figure out the doors we'll want to open and build corridors behind them, create the characters we'll love or hate and let us talk to them or romance them, concoct challenges that seem impossible at first glance and the tools to make our way through. Whether they're giving us a monster to defeat, a princess to slay, a murder to solve, a choice to resist, an act to witness, or a friendship to make, these talented game writers have given us hours of meaningful, fun, and impactful play. Congratulations to you all. The finalists for the Nebula Award for Best Game Writing are
Hyperspace by Stuart C. Baker, Phoebe Barton, James Beeman, Kate Hartfield, Isabel J. Kim, Sarah S. Messenger, Natalia Theodoridou, Merk Fen Wolfmore, M. Darusha Wem, and Jingjing Xiao. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree by Hidetaka Miyazaki. The Ghost and the Golem by Benjamin Rosenbaum. 1000 Times Resist by Remy Sue, Pinky Lee, and Connor Wiley. Pacific Drive by Carrie Shao and Paul Dean. Restore, Reflect, Retry by Natalia Theodoridou. Slay the Princess, The Pristine Cut by Tony Howard Arias and Abby Howard. Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast by Jay Dragon, M. Vaselik, Mercedes Acosta, and Lily J. Harris.
And the winner of the Nebula Award for Best Game Writing is A Death in Hyperspace.
Hello everybody, I'm Stuart C. Baker, the narrative designer for A Death in Hyperspace. And what that means is that I came up with the framework for the game, did a lot of the narrative and interstitial pieces, and came up with some of the game mechanics. So you can blame me for the timer. I would have loved to join you in person today, but as you can see, I'm in space. More seriously, A Death in Hyperspace was truly a collaborative piece where each team member brought their own unique voice, ideas, and perspectives throughout the process of writing the game. So with that in mind, I'd like to thank Phoebe Barton, James Beeman, Kate Hartfield, Isabel J. Kim, Sarah S. Messenger, Jingjing Xiao, Natalia Theodoridou, and M. Darusha Wayne for their work on the game. Thank you all. I'm also going to share brief messages from a couple of folks who weren't able to make a recording, as well as one short recording from one of the team members. This first note is from Sarah S. Messenger, who is honored that we received this award and grateful for the team. Thank you. This message is from Natalia Theodoridou, who thanks everyone for playing and voting, and everyone who made the game happen.
Kia ora, everyone. This is Darusha. It was such a delight to work with this incredible group, and I'm so pleased that our work resonated with you all. Thank you so, so much.
Hello, everybody. I'm Stuart C. Baker, the narrative designer.
Yeah, go for it.
Many thanks to an excellent team.
Congratulations, congratulations to everyone who worked on A Death in Hyperspace. Woo! And now, please welcome children's author and SFWA Director at Large, Christine Taylor Butler.
You already know I'm Christine Taylor Butler. Tonight I'm pleased to present the 2025 Kate Willem Solstice Award. This award is used to recognize a person who made significant contributions to science fiction, fantasy, and related genres, both in written work and in the community. Each year, the board looks for candidates that live up to the legacy left by Kate Willem, who herself was an early recipient of the award. And in 2009, and was renamed to honor Kate Willem's continued contributions in science fiction in 2016. In today's environment, it's more important than ever that we recognize the voices and contributions of creative people all over the world. This year, we are honored to present the award to Dr. Eugen Bacon, who is an author, poet, judge, teacher, leader, and more importantly, a dreamer. Her works have received awards from British Fantasy, otherwise Fellow, and Forward Indies. In addition, she's been a finalist in a number of international awards, including World Fantasy, Philip K. Dick, Victoria and Premier's Literary Award in Australia, and many others. I once read her comment that playfulness of language is important to connecting with a book. And that's important because many of us write because we can't not write. We strive to reach and engage readers. Eugen then pays her success forward by expanding opportunities for others through writing clinics, award competitions, and mentorship opportunities. She represents the best of us both through her writing and by helping others in their own pursuits. Eugen, it's hard to be seen in this industry, and we hope that this award lets you know that we at SFWA see you and your significant contributions to our industry. We know that this is just one of many continued recognitions that you will receive. Ladies and gentlemen, a speech. Congratulations, Eugen Bacon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am speechless. When I learned that I had been awarded this special recognition, I looked to see what I could find of Kate Willem and was astounded by her body of works and her significant impact on the science fiction and fantasy landscape. I feel blessed to accept this award today, named in her honor. I am beyond words. We don't always feel visible. Deepest thanks to SFWA for this amazing recognition. We live in especially challenging times, but today my heart is glowing. As I contemplate the unlimited potential of futurisms in my fiction, I understand deeply that paying attention to Black people's stories and heroing people of color equips me with the foundations to cultivate inclusive worlds and characters, to explore my place in the universe, to ask fundamental philosophical questions, to interrogate the past and learn from it. I hope my work speaks to other people as well. Thank you to my readers. Thank you to all enablers who continue to support me. Thank you to my publishers, my editors, my son Nicholas, my late parents, who instilled values in me and a deepest love for storytelling. Thank you to my family in Tanzania, to my peers and my friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations, Eugen, and thank you, Christine. Tonight, we're here to celebrate an amazing collection of artists and creators, but we're also gathered to remember those who came before us and those who left us too soon. As we honor and remember those who touched our hearts, inspired our work, and left us an incomparable legacy, please hold any and all applause until the end.
Hello, my name is Anthony Eichenlaub. I'm current vice president. I was briefly president for a little while last year, and I am a proud SFWA volunteer. My first SFWA volunteer work was as a door dragon. And if you're not familiar with what that is, sometimes SFWA will have a members-only space at a big convention, and the door dragon is the guy who stands by the door and greets people. They told me, stand here, check people's names off of this list, and just try to be cool, okay? And I can confidently say that I accomplished a high percentage of those things. I loved it. I met tons of people. It was really good for me. I met past presidents like Robin Wayne Bailey, Joe Haldeman. It was really cool. But here's the thing. That event can't happen without somebody standing in that spot. As simple as that job is, it's required. That's a required volunteer position. The same is true for a lot of what SFWA does, from the Estates Legacy Committee helping families realize their rights, to the Givers Grant Committee that helps find and support aligned organizations, to this conference, this awards ceremony, everything. Today I've been given a new volunteer task. I have been asked to be the one who thanks the other volunteers. In the room tonight and online, we are joined by volunteer board members, production team, flight and ground crews, so many others. I want to specifically thank the Nebula Corps team, as well as the Marriott AV and banquet staff. Wonderful job, all of you. So if you're a volunteer, and you're in the room, please stand if you are able. If you are not able, please indicate your awesomeness in some creative way. Thank you, thank you. Hold on. If you are with us virtually, please send up a rocket emoji in the chat or on Zoom so that everybody knows who you are. Each and every one of you is awesome because this could not happen without you. So yeah, we already gave them a hand. They've earned it. On behalf of the board, on behalf of the membership, and on behalf of all of the people that you have helped, thank you, volunteers. And now I would like to introduce Michael Capobianco, who is going to present the Service to SFWA Award. Michael?
The Kevin O'Donnell Jr. Service to SFWA Award recognizes and honors exceptional volunteers who has made a difference through their reliability and hard work over a period of years. As many of you know, SFWA relies on the efforts of volunteers for many of its functions, not the least of which is the Nebula Awards themselves. Without our many volunteers, especially the volunteer we're highlighting tonight, there literally would be no Nebula Awards. Thank you to all of the volunteers in the room and online who are making this event possible right now. The Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association is a global organization. We span borders and cross divides and have an active and engaged international community. Tonight, we are privileged to honor one of our Canadian members. This is a volunteer whose service to SFWA spans many roles, from flight crew support in 2020 to co-captain of that same crew now. From our weekly writing dates to online panels and even tech support for our website, this volunteer serves as a keystone to making the Nebula Conference work for online and hybrid events, ensuring that everyone who can't attend in person can still be a part of our annual event. You might not have seen this volunteer's name openly attached to some of our benefits we offer to our membership and the general public. You might not know who's been helping behind the scenes the whole time to keep our writing groups and our online events going strong, but you've all probably benefited from her presence, her reliability, and her care for fellow writers. Her legacy knowledge and her generosity when sharing it with others is exceptional. She has helped the Nebula airship take flight. This volunteer is someone we behind the scenes at SFWA know quite well and are deeply grateful for, because without her diligent approach to so much of our back-end work, we'd be lost. She goes above and beyond when there are tasks that need doing, but she also makes new volunteers feel welcome to contribute all on their own. The Kevin O'Donnell Jr. Service to SFWA Award goes this year to someone who does not seek out accolades for her commitment to community, but who deserves them 100 times over. C.J. Levine. CJ, you make SFWA a better place, and we're so thankful to celebrate you tonight. So please enjoy this moment and know that we deeply value your contributions to SFWA. In the room, please join me in giving her applause, and online, send her all the love in chat as we introduce our newest Service to SFWA Award winner, C.J. Levine.
Thank you so much. It's been my real pleasure to help with SFWA's virtual events for the past 5 years. As many of you know, volunteering is my way of dealing with social anxiety. If I have a job to do, I am capable of saying hello to you. I am incredibly grateful to all of you who've welcomed me into the organization. Okay, quick speech, 3 things. First of all, I work with great people. Nathan Lucas is my fellow captain on the flight crew. My tech team partners for the weekly writing dates are Kristen Osani and Megan Voss. We have a fantastic crew of flight crew volunteers who return every year to keep the airship running. Thanks to all of the SFWA volunteers and staff who keep the lights on and who made me feel like a welcome contributor to an amazing team. Second thing, I'm receiving this award for helping with virtual events, so while I'm sorry I can't be there in person, it's probably not going to shock anyone that I'm currently busy with the virtual events. I am in the viewing party on Zoom, cringing at my own video. But it is not just flight crew responsibilities that are keeping me out of Kansas City. I and so many other people can't be there for a lot of reasons, including disability, finances, family responsibilities, borders, politics, airports, bathrooms. That's not a comprehensive list. Including remote attendees has always been important and is only growing more so. So hybrid and virtual content is vital to this community, and I plan to keep working for it. Third thing, since I have this platform, 2 groups I would love to highlight for your attention right now are Trans Lifeline and Coffees for Gaza. I have the deepest respect for everyone right now who's working so hard to make the world a better place, one small thing at a time. Thank you again for this so much.
Thank you for all you do, CJ. Next up is the Short Story Award. I don't regularly present awards, but full disclosure, our next presenter, despite being a brilliant scientific mind, had some kind of...
President Kate.
Mary Robinette. Hey, how's it going? I thought you didn't turn in a recording.
I did. I just used time travel in the wrong direction, so I will have already recorded this in your past, but my present, I think. Anyway, I'm here now. Or no, I'm there then.
Do you have the envelope?
Oh, I don't. Didn't. No envelopes is the actual point. That'll have to be you. Time is hard.
Seriously.
Welcome to the Nebula Awards short story category, where big ideas come in small packages and word counts are tight enough to make haikus sweat. These stories may be short, but this year's finalists prove that you don't need 500 pages to break hearts, twist minds, or make readers say, "Wait, what just happened and why am I crying?" The Nebulas are voted on by the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers Association, SFWA, or SFWA, depending on where in the time stream you are. Meaning, these authors were judged by their peers and still came out looking like literary rock stars. And listen, finalists, take a deep breath. You are all rock stars and deserve to be here. Your stories this year were powerful, moving, and unexpected. And now, before anyone hyperventilates, the finalists are
The Witch Trap by Jennifer Hudak. 5 Views of the Planet Tartarus by Rachel K. Jones. Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Omelas Hole by Isabel J. Kim. Evan, A Remainder by Jordan Corella. The Vampire by P.H. Lee. We Will Teach You How to Read. We Will Teach You How to Read by Carolyn M. Yoakum.
And the Nebula for Best Short Story goes to Isabel J. Kim.
Coming to you live from the only wall not stacked with boxes in my apartment, I am so honored to be the recipient of the Nebula Award for Best Short Story. First, a huge thank you for Neil Clark and Clark's World for publishing Why Don't We Just Kill the Kid in the Omelas Hole. Second, thank you to everyone who voted for my story. I deeply appreciate the support of my peers, and it is a little surreal to be accepting this award, knowing the amazing work that the rest of the finalists in my category have done. And third, the biggest thanks to Ursula K. Le Guin for writing The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas for obvious reasons. I wish we had lived in a reality where my story and hers had less resonance with society, but as it is, I'm grateful I was able to capture and vocalize the feeling in many hearts. Thank you again.
So they broke into the hole in the ground, and they killed the kid. And all the lights went out in Omelas. Click, click, click. And the pipes burst, and there was a sewage leak, and the newscasters said there was a typhoon on the way. So they, a different they. These were the they in charge, the they who lived in the nice houses in Omelas. Okay, every house in Omelas was a nice house, but these were nice houses. Got another kid and put it in the hole. And the newscaster said the hurricane had dissipated into a tropical storm, and the pipes were repaired, and the well-paid janitors cleaned up the sewage leak while wearing proper PPE. And the kid in the hole cried and cried and cried. Or they, the general they, the they that meant you and me and the janitors and the newscasters, assumed that the kid was crying, because the hole was soundproofed so nobody could hear the kid, which didn't stop them from knowing about the kid. But it sort of helped.
Congratulations again to Isabel J. Kim. Whew. So be it. See to it. Those 6 words, small but mighty, were written by the legendary Nebula Award-winning Octavia Butler in one of her personal journals. listing all the things that she would make happen in her life and with her work. It's handwritten and inspiring to read, and I'll admit, the first few times I got caught up in the power of just those 6 words. So be it. See to it. There's something in them, the determination, the belief, the strength to name what you want and go after it. Something powerful, something that feels like it can't be denied. But the more I've thought about the words over the years, the more moved I am, not just by the power in the words, but by what is being empowered. There's publishing success. This is my life, she writes. I write best-selling novels. My books will be read by millions of people. There is personal freedom and joy. I will buy a beautiful home in an excellent neighborhood. I will travel whenever and wherever I choose. There's care on a small scale. I will get the best health care from my mother and myself, and care on a large scale. I will help poor Black youngsters go to college, go to Clarion, broaden their horizons. It makes me think and ask you to think, what are the things we each want to achieve? What freedoms do we want to have and fight for? How will we care for ourselves and our loved ones? How will we uplift others? Imposter syndrome is very real, but what if we aren't imposters? What if we can be it and see to it? What can we do with that power? There's a saying I've heard a lot recently, a supposed curse, may you live in interesting times. And another one that I love because it reminds me of my family in the South, God willing and the creek don't rise. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we are writing in interesting times, and the creek is about neck high. And while it may not be what any of us would have chosen for ourselves, it's a good time to feel our power. Power to seek success, to pursue freedom, to care for ourselves and for others around us, whether we know we can or think we can or not. Let's be it. Let's see to it. But first, let's get to our next award. Here, via video, to present the Nebula Award for Novelette, please welcome author, filmmaker, and SFWA Director at Large, Day Al-Mohammed.
Hello, everyone. What an amazing day. I'm so very honored to be here, even virtually. My name is Dale Muhammad, and I'm the recently appointed Director at Large on the SFWA board. I'm here to present the nominees for this year's Best Novelette. As you know, the novelette is at least 7,500 words, but less than 17,500 words. Just words. That seems so simple to say, but words carry ideas, and that's what makes them dangerous. No one can question that we live in a fractious time of tension and anger, and for some, very real fear. I don't want to talk politics, but about power, the power of stories. The general public may not always understand the idea of the novelette, but readers know its power, and it has been a recognized part of the nebulas from the very beginning. We're moved by them, haunted by them. That's what makes them dangerous. And these novelettes are the very best examples of that. This year's finalists capture you from their very first words. And to show you how much they do so, let me give you their starting sentences. At first, I thought something had broken in my book. Once in a certain kingdom, at a certain time, a river flowed under a bridge. There is no limit to the number of curses in the world. The third week of a planetary exorcism is the hardest, at least if the planet in question has megafauna to deal with. Doc, there's a hole growing in me, the alien said through the spherical interpreting machine hovering over them. The woman whose body Joanna is renting has a nosebleed. From Nef Nef Baby at lyon-edu.org to Cara Hasney, Cara Mia 1990 at mailbuddy.gr. I really hope that inspires you to take some time to explore the worlds and the characters that these authors have created. They give us escape. They give us hope. They allow us to walk in someone else's shoes for a little while. They make us feel a little bit less alone in the world. And they let us envision a future that just might be. Like I said, dangerous. So it's with great pleasure and humble awe that I present this year's Nebula nominees.
The Brotherhood of Montague Street Video by Thomas Ha. Katya Vasilyevna and the Second Drowning of Babarechka by Christine Hanelsey. Another Girl Under the Iron Bell by Angela Liu. What Any Dead Thing Wants by Amy Ogden. Negative Scholarship on the Fifth State of Being by A.W. Prihandita. Joanna's Bodies by Evgenia Triantfilou. Loneliness Universe by Evgenia Triantfilou.
And the Nebula Award for Novelette goes to A.W. Briandita.
I really need to get to the end of this speech without crying, so please bear with me. This is both a surprise and a massive honor, so thank you very much. This story is about resisting oppression, both epistemic and material, but above all, it's about kindness. It's my way of saying that I hope we'll always find a way to be kind, even to those we cannot understand. Of course, this story wouldn't have existed without the kindness of many people. Thanks to all of you who've read this story and told me you loved it. That means a lot to me. Thank you to my fellow finalists who have been such an inspiration. It's an honor to share these moments with you. I workshopped the first draft of this story at Clarion San Diego last summer, so I'd like to thank my classmates and my instructor, Matt Bell, for their support in those early days. Thank you also to Isabel Yap and Henan Bernardo, who read the second draft, and Clarksburg Magazine team, who gave this story the best home anyone can hope for. This story was born out of my dissertation research, and although it has a lot of critical things to say about institutions of knowledge, I'd still like to thank some people in my scholarly space. Only some. Thank you to Nasri Barawi, who showed me the speculative could still exist within the scholarly, and Sumotha, whose excitement and care make the university a better place, and to Amelia and Kelly for their friendship and cheerleading. And finally, Rufan, I am very lucky to have witnessed your translation of a world so unknown to the world. Thank you. Here's to world literature as Indonesian literature.
There's a hole growing in me, the alien said through the spherical interpreting machine hovering over them. Samao barely registered the word hole, so taken was she by the sight of the alien. If she were just a tad less caring about propriety, she would have let her eyes blow wide open. The alien looked impossibly transparent, yet not transparent at the same time, like a mound of water. Their shape was almost humanoid, a roundish head sitting atop a misshapen lump of torso. They were visible in the way ocean waves were visible, only through folds that magnified its translucence to almost opaqueness. Samao glanced again at the patient form. Name, Tixisna. He, him. Species, Plismorinox matori. Samao had never heard of the Plismorinox before, and a quick look-up in the Brazos database of interstellar species told her this wasn't her fault. The Plismorinox had an occurrence rate of 0.000013% of interspecies encounters, which made her impulsively count the decimal places. She'd never seen anything that small.
Congratulations again to A.W. Prihandita. And now, please welcome to the stage via video, Ignite, Bram Stoker, and Nebula Award-winning author Ai Jung.
Hi, I am Ai Jung, and I'm honored to be presenting the finalists for the Nebula Award for Best Novella. I read novellas before I knew they were called novellas, and before I knew it, novellas began quickly carving out a space as a unique form of their own in SFFH. Novellas occupy the space between short stories and full-length novels, a form that takes the best of both and weaves them together to create something refreshingly different in scope. For sparse writers like myself who have a love for experimentation, and for those coming from short fiction, it's truly been a miracle. This year's finalists span from the dark yet whimsical, futuristic and space operatic, to climate and evolution, showcasing just how the novella has been growing in popularity and continues to expand in its breadth and audience with each passing year. Congratulations to you all for your incredible feat. The finalists for the Nebula Award for Best Novella are
The Butcher of the Forest by Premi Muhammad. The Tusks of Extinction by Ray Naylor. Lost Ark Dreaming by Suyi Davies Okungbowa. Countess by Susan Palumbo. The Practice, the Horizon, and the Chain by Sophia Samatar. The Dragonfly Gambit by A.D. Sway.
And the Nebula Award for novella goes to A.D. Sway.
Good evening, everyone. I'm PhD receiving on behalf of A.D. Sway. So I have a text which I've agreed to read in its word for word. So picture this. I am sitting in front of my computer, ugly crying. It's exactly what I'm doing now because I learned that Dragonfly has won Nebula for Best Novella. You can't see me, but trust me, there are tears and snot and everything. Instead, the brilliant and kind Lee stands in front of you to accept this award on my behalf and will have to continue reading this speech with no deviations at all, regardless of how silly it gets. My apologies and eternal gratitude to Lee. First and foremost, I want to thank Dave Ring, the mastermind behind Neon Hemlock, for taking a chance on a novella with exactly one F-bomb per 1,000 words, which has to be a record of some kind, a novella with not one, but 2 on-page executions, and a lot of very, very questionable physics. Secondly, I want to thank Yoa Sway, who read the initial draft and said, "This is good, but you're holding back." He was right, and I was, and I accepted this completely reasonable feedback without crying or arguing at all. Finally, I want to thank everyone who read, reviewed, and voted for this little angry novella. Never in my life had I imagined that I would get to be part of such a vibrant, diverse, supportive community that continues to stand together amidst these turbulent times. Never in my life had I dared to dream that my words would resonate with so many readers. Thank you all for making the dream come true. Thank you all for being along for the ride. And now I will go cry in private.
Prologue. If you're listening to this, then we have arrived at our ends. We kept our promises as women of our Constitution should. I have ended the 20-year-long uprising against the rule in just 6 months, just as you've asked of me, and you, the third daughter of the rule, eternal, rightful, both beautiful and deadly, have ended me. Regrettably, this means I wasn't there to witness the instance when your facade came down, when all control seeped through your fingers. Alas, we were never meant to live in the future we were carving from the decaying carcass of your empire. Now you can rest. We can both rest. We did the best with what we had. 1. By all accounts, I should be scared. Intelligence and investigations boys are overzealous. They like to break things, doors, people, entire local governments if they get the chance. 5 more flights of stairs until they're at my door.
Congratulations once again to 80 Sway. Now, last year, I was in the audience when Susan Cooper was given the Grand Master Award. And under my breath, I began singing the poem from her book, The Dark is Rising, which I loved so much as a kid that I did, in fact, turn it into a song when I was in elementary school. It was like, when the dark comes rising, 6 shall turn it back. That's all the singing you're getting from me. Now, it has been many, many years since I first read that book, that series. But if a masked intruder right now broke into this room, grabbed me and said, I will only let you go if you tell me the Dark is Rising poem, start to finish, no mistakes, I would be a free woman. That, by the way, is an observation, not a suggestion. But that's how much the stories of our youth stick with us. Humans are natural storytellers. We're able to convey so much information about the world by seeing patterns and putting together sequences of ideas that we can share with others. Sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. There are patterns we invent and try to force the world into. There are ideas that should be left far behind. But the storytelling, that's good stuff. That's how we share how to live and how to be. Writing teaches us. It gives us possibilities that we wouldn't come up with in our minds, in our lives, in our worlds. One human can only imagine so much. Believe me, I've tried. Writing is a way to say to someone else, hey, want to see what I can dream up? Want to borrow a couple of my possibilities? Want to understand how I've made my way through a challenge, how you might be able to do the same? Want to get where I'm coming from? When we're young, we're getting all of those questions answered for the very first time. We're putting our first steps on paths that may one day become well-worn or may grow over with time and be forgotten, but at least we know they were there. For the past few years, I've had the privilege and honor of teaching creative writing to college students. And one of the things I love about the language they use is how much of it is about affirmation. Seen, heard, that's valid. All things I think we could use a bit more of from the world. All things that writing can give us. A character can make you feel like someone gets you, Like maybe they put a little bit of you on the page. A piece of dialogue can make you feel heard in a way that a real conversation sometimes doesn't always get to. A situation, an identity, a truth on the page, they can make us feel valid and validated. And when we're young, and always, but especially when we're young, that can make all the difference. Here to present the Andre Norton Nebula Award for middle grade and young adult fiction is author and SFWA Chief Financial Officer, Jonathan Brazy.
Hello, SFWA. If I get this out of the way. I am honored to be introducing the nominated works for the Norton Award. Some of you might ask, why am I the one standing up here? If you know anything about my writing, I write gritty science fiction with lots of violence. But I'm here for a couple of reasons. First is that I developed my love for science fiction after my brother, who just recently passed away, gave me a tattered copy of Starman's Son by Andre Norton. And I'm honored to be presenting the award named after Andre Norton, who may have been the one who introduced more people to science fiction than anyone else. Secondly, I have twin 6-year-old daughters who are discovering the power of the written word. They aren't reading YA yet, but they are devouring middle grade, putting their heads together and working out the stories, letter by letter, word by word. And it fills me with joy to see them crafting their own stories set in these books. They are the future readers of speculative fiction, and dare I hope, possibly the writers of the future. My girls had the opportunity to meet one of the writers of their favorite books, and they were in awe. Not awe of Daddy, of course, but the writer of Happy Hopscotch, that transcends cool. In today's YouTube of 10-second mindless clips, it takes skill to write a story that can engage and hold a young person's mind. And I have to say, our nominees are the best there are at doing this. So, without further ado, let's get to the award. The finalists for the Andre Norton Nebula Award for middle grade and science fiction are
Daydreamer by Rob Cameron. Braided by Leah Sipis. Benny Ramirez and the Nearly Departed by Jose Pablo Iriarte. Moonstorm by Yoon Ha Lee. Puzzle Heart by Jen Reese. The Young Necromancer's Guide to Ghosts by Vanessa Ricci Toad.
And the winner of the Andre Norton Nebula Award for middle grade and young adult fiction goes to Vanessa Ricci Toad.
So if this recording is being played, the impossible has happened and I've somehow won a Nebula Award. Holy shit. I never thought this would happen, even though it's been a dream of mine since I was a stupid teen growing up in the sticks and first discovered that you could win awards for writing fantasy novels. I truly wish I could be there in person. It's heartbreaking for me that I can't, but crossing the border just isn't something I can bring myself to do right now. I want to start by acknowledging that I'm giving the speech from the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the neutral peoples, who are a vibrant part of the literary community here in Waterloo. I give this speech in solidarity with the brilliant writers in Ukraine and Palestine, and give my appreciation to everyone everywhere still fighting for justice. First and foremost, I want to thank my daughter, who in real time is probably somewhere nearby while I ugly cry. This book is at least half her fault, and she was my first reader. She read each chapter as I finished them and gave it her stamp of approval. She loves Percy Jackson and the entire Rick Riordan Presents line, and I'd hoped to write something that she would love even half that much. I want to thank my local literary community, including the Waterloo Public Library and Create Waterloo, for giving local writers space to create and opportunities to connect with readers. I want to thank my former NaNoWriMo crew, everyone part of the KW Writers Alliance, and my pals in Write Club, especially Chris, who reads everything I write and helps me keep track of my lore. I want to thank the Nebula Flight crew and the Sunday writing dates, where a good amount of this book was written. Also, a shout out to the Peculiarity Shop for the gorgeous wearable art they make. In particular, to Hillary, Becky, and Meg, whose work I'm wearing right now. And I want to thank the wider indie community for giving me guidance and helping me figure out how to make this career path work for me. Trad, indie, or self-pub, it's a brutal industry to be in right now. And I'm really grateful for the supportive community helping each other succeed. I hope to see more self-published books on the ballot and as winners in the future. I hope that this can be a gateway for more people into self-published works. I hope this can help shake off some of the stigma that all self-pub is just vanity slop. The truth is, it's just another career path, a vital part of the publishing ecosystem, and honestly, it's often the only option for marginalized writers whose stories are deemed too risky, or we already have one of those, by big presses. There's weird and brilliant work out there, and I hope you'll go find it. Finally, I want to thank everybody still making art in these difficult times. You bring the joy we need to keep going. Thank you.
Lucy could talk to dead people, and no one but her sister Marcy believed her. Lucy didn't want to talk to dead people, and she really wished they'd stop talking to her. But there wasn't anything she could do about it. She wished she could do something about it, especially right now, because the ghost of this lost girl was trailing along behind her, and she kept forgetting which supplies she was supposed to be picking up. She didn't have time to be distracted by ghosts. If she took much longer in getting back to Marcy, the caravan would leave without them both. And then Uncle might find them. Lucy shivered and glanced over her shoulder at the center of the market square, like she expected to see Uncle storming her way. But instead, it was just the transparent face of the ghost girl leaning eagerly toward her, with the strange gray sheen of the dead.
Congratulations, Vanessa. And now, please welcome back SFWA President Kate Rista.
Speculative fiction. It brings us to different worlds and unexpected timelines. It hits us in the head and begs us to see things from a different angle, to feel things from a deeper place, to consider who we are, and importantly, who we want to be. Behind the scenes, we've been working hard to celebrate, uplift, empower the planet and perspective-shifting creators that have made our genre what it is today. Can you tell I'm excited? This work continues throughout the year with the help of our volunteers and staff. Thank you. So, you've already met many of these wonder workers and word mages in person and online this weekend. But tonight, I want to take a moment to recognize former SFWA President Russell Davis. Russell supported and guided us last November, and after an open call and many interviews with great candidates, Russell is now stepping in as Operations Director. We are lucky to have his leadership and support. Thank you, Russell, for your continued service. The thing you might not know about Russell, though, is that he's actually lectured on Dune. He's also met Frank Herbert on holiday in Arrakis. What's more, Russell bred, raised, rode sandworms in the American Southwest. What? I'm just trying to get him to come up here and interrupt me. It's working. Shh. So, Russell, what's going on? You having a good night? One moment. Thank you, Eric Grove. All right. Okay, so some quick feedback on my speech so far from Russell. So he says, I actually came on board in October last year, Kate. I never met Frank Herbert, only knew people that did know him, and I haven't been to Arrakis. And 3, they were horses, Kate, Arabian horses. 1 second. Okay, so I noticed, though, that in those previous notes, he did not say he has not ridden a sandworm. Praise Halud. Praise Shai Halud. Give it up. Shai Halud. Praise Shai Halud. Give it up. Shai Halud. Shai Halud. Anyways, yeah, there's more. So, Dune, Russell's notes, number 2. We're going on. Dune is one of, if not the most, influential science fiction novels of all time. It has sold more than 20 million copies to date. It won both the Nebula and Hugo Awards for Best Novel. And as a metric for addressing politics, ecology, and complex world building, there is no other single work that carries as much influence on the genre today. Hashtag it's awesome. Next note. First published as a novel in 1965, Dune is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year as well. The focus on environmental issues and the intricate ways power is held and lost was a seismic shift in the science fiction genre at the time. I personally find it particularly apt that during our 60th Nebula Awards, Dune Part 2 won the Bradbury, and SFWA is honoring Frank Herbert with the Infinity Award. This is apt because 60 years ago, Dune was given the very first Nebula Novel Award. I'd like to think that Frank Herbert would be pleased at the synchronicity of this timing. For those reasons and many more, SFWA is honored to recognize Frank Herbert with the Infinity Award for his contributions to the field of science fiction and fantasy. Brian Herbert's Frank's son is unable to join us tonight, but past President Anthony Eichelab will share Brian's thoughts with you. Anthony.
Even though it's been
this word for word as best I can. Brian writes, I'm sure my parents, Frank and Beverly Herbert, would have been thrilled that the prestigious Infinity Award is being granted to Frank Herbert, the legendary author of Dune. While Frank Herbert authored numerous novels, including his magnum opus, it's important to note that my mother was also a professional writer, and she was with him every step of the way during their 37 years of marriage. Providing him with expert advice on everything he wrote, this is her award as much as it is my father's. I'm very sorry I cannot attend the convention, but want to personally thank the officers and members of SFWA, as well as the millions of Frank Herbert fans all over the world for this great award. Thank you.
Anthony, are you going to stick around?
Yeah, I'm going to stick around.
Perfect.
You can't get rid of him.
I can't get rid of him. Thank God. So it's such a joy to celebrate Dune.
The world has shifted and changed since the 1960s, and SFWA has shifted as well.
We want to take a moment to thank our staff for their hard work putting on tonight's event. You've heard from Russell Davis. Thanks, Russell. But his work wouldn't be possible without the help of Misha Grifka-Wander in the office and our new communications and marketing coordinator, M.L. Clark.
We are also very excited to make one other introduction tonight.
After a robust round of hiring
And I have never read so many resumes.
and several interviews,
We are proud to introduce SFWA's new executive director.
the CEO and founder of Sista Sci-Fi, our new executive director, is a Stanford, Harvard, and Columbia alum.
She has an MBA in finance and an MPP in international finance.
She understands the publishing industry and where SFWA is headed into the future.
Please welcome to the stage,
Isis Asare.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Anthony. I am so excited about what we will do together here at SFWA. So now it is my privilege to present the final award of the evening. Each novel was a portal to another world, another way of being, our own infinite supply of adventures. In reading and celebrating these 6 titles and their authors, we are building possibilities together. And that is where the magic of our community is created, not just in reading and in writing, but recognizing that that speculative fiction is most powerful when we travel its realms together. We celebrate not just 6 remarkable titles, but the collective imagination that lifts them and us into flight. It has been my joy and honor to open these portals with you. So the moment we've all been waiting for, the finalists for the 2025 Nebula Award for Best Novel are
Sleeping Worlds Have No Memory by Yaroslav Barsukov. Rake's Fall by Vajra Chandrasekhara. Asunder by Kirsten Hall. A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher. The Book of Love by Kelly Link. Someone You Can Build a Nest In by John Wiswell.
Okay, are you ready? And the winner of the Nebula for Novel is John Wiswell.
Hi, everybody. I don't know what to say other than, hey, 2020 Nebula Award, you're gonna have a little sister. I don't know how else to put it. I'm reduced to giddiness and goofiness. I'm boggled by this wonderful honor that you've given to me, to the point where I'm manhandling chunks of lucite and joy. Thank you all so much. The reception to this book has meant the world to me. And honestly, if my monster helped get you through one bad day, if my monster helped you get through 1 hour, made you feel less alone for 1 minute, then that is more reward than I ever could have asked for. And the road here has been fraught and strange. And I'm just grateful to so many people who made this possible. That my agent, Hannah Bowman, my publishers, Daw Books and Arcadia Books, who took huge risks on me. I'm grateful to be part of this growing number of ace writers, including Merck Van Wolfmore and Melissa Caruso, Kemi Ashingua and Genevieve Domova, Essa Hansen and Con Wong, and just there's so many, and we all belong both in the storytelling tradition and at Pride. And I'm so grateful to be part of it, to be among disabled readers, queer writers, booksellers who stand up to censorship, to librarians who fight book bans. If you're in that auditorium tonight and cared enough to mask, I'm grateful to you. If you advocate for your autistic siblings, if you stand up and defend trans children against politicians, if you see just this era that constantly pressures us to deny our truths and you say, no, we all belong, then you are the fabric of this community and you are why I write. And frankly, you're why I read and why I'm proud to be part of a group that we call us. And before I sign off, I want to address one more member of our little community. That writer who thinks they can't make it, who has been told they are too weird, who feels ground down under the boot heel of rejections. That writer whose story is going to remind me why I love reading tomorrow. You, if you're listening, this book that I just won this award for is the book I wrote after I gave up. It's my first published novel, but it came after like 10 novels that you've never seen. After working my tail off and year after year being told no, what I did was I sulked and then I went back to my room and I wrote something as neurodivergent as I am, as asexual as I am, that was weird in the ways that made me laugh, but also weird in ways that made me feel like I wasn't hiding. And I want to just take this moment to say, if you're struggling, if you feel discouraged, sulk away, but I hope you return to the page tomorrow and write something from your heart that nobody else can make. Because I can't wait to read what you have to say. And with that, thank you all so much to the members of SFWA for this outrageous honor. We all belong here.
Each year, when Shisheshin hibernated, she dreamed of her childhood nest. Oh, the warmth of it. A warmth unlike anything in the adult world, soft and pliable heat keeping her and her siblings alive. In that warmth, they were fed raw life, her father's ribs rich in marrow, cracking delicately in their mouths, and providing the first feast of their lives. His fat deposits were generous, and his entrails sheltered them from the cruel winter elements. If Shisheshin could have spent her entire life inside the nest of his remains, she would have. But all childhoods end. Hers ended when one of her sisters bit off Shisheshin's left heel. Her siblings matured too quickly and hungered for more than their father. Shisheshin had to defend herself using jagged fragments of their father's pelvis, his final and most gracious gift. The assault was a gift from her siblings too, for she spent a week dining on their savory carcasses.
Delicious. Congratulations, John. We have almost come to the end of our program tonight, but before we wrap things up, I've got a little bit of business, a few announcements to make. First of all, there's like 5 of them, so gird your loins. SFWA's annual online auction is live through June 12th with many outstanding items and opportunities available. So look for the link at sfwa.org, get your money ready, and get ready to bid on the auction. Second, the journey of the 60th Annual Nebulas has only just begun. We invite you to join us for a special online launch this fall with professional development programming led by authors, finalists, and winners. You'll be hearing a lot more about this soon, sadly not from me, but look out for it. And after the online launch, we are proud to announce the 2026 Nebulas. Drum roll, we're going to announce the place and the date. The 2026 Nebulas are headed to Chicago! The first weekend in June, June 4th through 7th. But before we get there, we still have some celebrating to do tonight. First up, those here in Kansas City will see that something special has been put on your tables. It is this amazing book here, Nebula Awards Showcase 60, which contains works from this year's winners and finalists. It's open for pre-orders now, and it goes on sale Monday. But a few of you here tonight will win a free copy. So look under your chairs. At each table, there are 2 winner tags. And if you have them, you get a Nebula book! Winners! Oh my gosh! Woohoo! All right. It is mayhem and madness out here. All right, congratulations to all of the winners. All right, y'all, simmer down, simmer down, simmer down. Speaking of winners, we request that tonight's Nebula Award winners who are here in person, please come to the stage at the end of the ceremony for photo time. And our last announcement before I wrap things up, we invite everyone who is celebrating with us here tonight to join us on the first floor in the Brookside Room for karaoke. We will be doing some karaoke, and finalists joining us online, you are not off the hook. We hope that you'll join us virtually. The Zoom link is in your finalist resource guide. Whew. That is every announcement. Wow. What a night it has been. What a year it has been. And before we close it out and head to year 61, I have to say thank you. Thank you to all the Nebula finalists and honorees for taking us on the incredible journeys that brought us to this moment. Your words carried us to the edges of an empire and the middle of the sea, from the furthest reaches of distant hyperspace galaxies to the oh-so-real depths of social media. They gave us traveling companions we'll never forget, countesses and captains, witches and Rusalka, sorceresses' daughters and musicians' grandsons, asshole vampires and skeleton boyfriends, shapeshifters and deathbinders and desert messiahs. And ghosts, like so many ghosts. A reminder, I think, that your words will stick with us for a long, long time yet to come, that they're haunting in the best sense of the word. As we flipped the page or pressed the button or saw the TV glow this year, bodies were renamed and remade and reclaimed. Souls were bound together. Deaths didn't always take. Ships committed acts of unspeakable kindness, and friends committed acts of irreparable harm. Families were found and lost and repaired over cups of tea and braided hair and books passed down as artifacts. Histories were uncovered and rewritten and remade and let us find their truth in the margins. And what better time than 60 years in to remind us that we are a part of the story, of this field, of this world, of this life, and we will not be erased. If history is written by the victors, then let us be our own champions of our work, of our field, of each other. Because we were part of the story this year. We were taught how to read and transform and iterate. We had choices to make and possibilities to explore. Slay the princess or not. Restore or not. 1,000 times resist or not. Heed the wizard or the all-mother or the story or not. Kill the kid in the ominous hole or not. Because even when the choices are impossible, even when they're non-existent and the only option is to survive, even when all roads lead the very same way or whisper the very same lies, even when folks are rewriting the past as we try to craft a new future, we here, all of us, still have the power to shape it, to bring magic into the world, to face horrors without backing down. Whatever else the world brings, we can write the truth that we know in our hearts. The truth that is pride and love and peace and never stopped by borders. And that truth can help set us free. Here's to the next 60 years, everyone. Let's make them a damn good story. Thank you and good night.